The noise of transmission hums louder than it should. In the corner of a mostly empty living room lies an ancient television, its surface spotted with deep scratches and corrosion. With a sudden pop, the screen sputters to life. An emergency broadcast alert flashes red. Then it flickers, switching to the face of a reporter, strangely calm, his suit wrinkled as if he dressed in a hurry. "We interrupt your regular programming with breaking news," the reporter says, voice even, almost detached. The camera zooms in slightly as he continues. James Burnham, local resident, was shot and killed yesterday evening at exactly 3:48 p.m., the reporter states. Authorities currently have no leads. No witnesses have come forward. A black and white photo of James appears, a grainy image, almost too grainy. He's smiling, but something about his eyes is wrong. Too blank. The screen flickers again. For a brief second, it's just static, hissing, whispering if you listen close enough. Then the feed stabilizes. Or so it seems. Without transition, the footage changes. No more newsroom. No more reporter. Suddenly, it's as if viewers are peering into someone's home. A kitchen, ordinary, cluttered. Cracks in the tile, a dying plant in the windowsill. The camera is oddly still, almost as if it's been set up intentionally. Framed carefully, watching, there's James Burnham, alive and well. He moves with casual ease, pouring dark coffee into an oversized mug, the liquid sloshing dangerously close to the rim. He glances toward the camera with a smirk, subtle, knowing. Not the smile of someone caught off guard, the smile of someone expecting to be watched. James places a blank book next to his mug. The cover is worn leather, edges curling as if burned. He grabs a stool and sits down slowly, stretching out one leg before the other. He taps a pen absent-mindedly against the book's surface. The timestamp in the corner of the screen reads, 3:48 p.m., the exact moment the news claimed James had already been dead. And yet, here he is, calm, smirking, brewing coffee. Viewers at home start to notice little things wrong with the footage. The clock on the wall, its second hand stutters, skipping seconds entirely. James's reflection in the kitchen window, lagging slightly behind his real movements. The audio, subtly distorted like someone breathing too close to a microphone. Was this live? A recording? A mistake? Or something else entirely? Back to the reporter for a blink, and you almost miss it. His tie is missing. His eyes now hollow, unfocused. You start to say something. James Burnham was... Then stops. The footage immediately cuts again to James. This time, he's writing something in the blank book. But the page remains empty. No ink appears. Only the scratching sound of pen against paper, loud and grating. The camera angle shifts, slightly, almost imperceptibly. James lifts his head and looks directly into the lens. His smile falters, just for a moment. He mouths something, but there's no audio. Only the crackle of static growing louder. Louder, until it's almost unbearable. Suddenly, a sharp knock. 3 hard bangs, off-screen at the edge of the audio. James freezes. His hand trembles. The coffee mug quivers on the table, ripples forming across its surface. Another knock. James turns his head, staring at something behind the camera. The screen flickers violently. When the feed returns, the kitchen is empty. The mug sits abandoned, black coffee slowly spilling over the rim, dripping to the floor. The blank book lies open, pages flipping on their own in a breeze that shouldn't exist. The reporter's voice returns, distorted and slow. "We regret to inform you." Then silence. Only the buzzing of dead air. James Burnham wasn't a celebrity, wasn't a criminal, wasn't even memorable, really. But everyone in the neighborhood knew him. The way you know the old oak tree at the end of your street. Always there, always the same. But if it suddenly disappeared one morning, you'd feel that something important was missing. Neighbors described James as polite, private, the kind of man who nodded on the sidewalk but never stopped to chat. Lived alone, worked from home, no family visits, no friends that anyone could name. A ghost in plain sight. He lived on the 3rd floor of an aging brick apartment building. His blinds were always drawn halfway, just enough to let in light, not enough to see through. Delivery drivers said he'd always meet them at the door, never letting them catch a glimpse inside. Some thought he was a writer. Others whispered he was hiding something darker. But then came a strange discovery. A local librarian, Ms. Clara Henley, came forward, hesitant but determined to tell her story. Ms. Henley had seen James visit the library almost every single day for the past year. Like clockwork, morning visits just after opening. He'd never browse idly. He came with a purpose. Straight to the nonfiction section, aisle 7. She noticed his choices of books early on. Titles that didn't belong together. Titles like Psychology and Behavioral Science, Cold War Espionage Manuals, Quantum Mechanics and Theoretical Physics, ancient philosophy texts about the nature of time. This is an odd combination for someone claiming to write a simple novel. At first, Ms. Henley thought nothing of it. Writers are eccentric. Writers research odd things. But the pattern disturbed her. James would borrow 5 or 6 books at a time, return them 3 days later. Every page dog-eared, dozens of sticky notes inside, his precise, cramped handwriting scrawled in margins. He devoured information, but never talked about it. And he never borrowed fiction. Only facts, only theories, only systems of the world he seemed desperate to understand, or perhaps rebuild. Once she asked casually, "What's the novel about, Mr. Burnham?" James froze, just for a second, just long enough that the moment felt wrong. Then he smiled, a smile too wide, too practiced, and said, "It's about someone who wakes up and finds a world wrong." He said it like it was a joke, but his eyes didn't laugh. After that, he became even more distant, barely making eye contact, barely speaking. And then, 3 weeks before his death, he stopped coming to the library altogether. No warning, no explanation. Ms. Henley thought maybe he'd finished his research, or maybe he'd realized something in those books that made him stop reading altogether, something he wasn't supposed to know. Later, investigators found evidence tucked away in James's apartment. Library books, pages torn out, sections highlighted with furious intensity, especially chapters on perception bias, parallel realities, and the chilling concept of observer-created existence. It seemed James had become obsessed. One notebook contained a single line, written over and over again. If you look too long, it looks back. When police asked Ms. Henley if James ever mentioned being afraid of someone, or something, she shook her head. But she added something strange. "He always sat at the back table," she said. "The one farthest from the windows. And when he thought no one was looking, he'd turn all the mirrors to face the walls." The officers dismissed it as harmless paranoia. But some people online, people who had started digging into James's life, weren't so sure. After all, if you believe the theories James studied, reality was a lot more fragile than anyone wanted to admit. And sometimes, when you study the cracks long enough, something studies you back. The screen fades back in. Same old, rusty television. Same scratchy news broadcast. But this time, something feels different. The same reporter sits behind the desk, but the way he moves, the way he speaks, it's wrong somehow. Too stiff, too rehearsed. Or maybe, not rehearsed enough. Viewers can sense it immediately, even if they can't explain it. That primal sense of something being off. As the clip replays, sharp-eyed watchers catch it first. The reporter's eyes dart, not at the teleprompter, but to something off camera, just to his left. A flicker of fear crosses his face, barely perceptible, there and gone, like a ripple under still water. He opens his mouth to speak. James Burnham was, but then stops. Not a stumble, a halt, as if someone had cut the feed, but the audio kept running. The reporter's lips part slightly. For a split second, you can almost swear you see them trembling. Then the screen glitches, brief, violent. A stutter frame. When the picture snaps back, the reporter is still speaking, but he's mid-sentence, mid-thought, being investigated thoroughly by local authorities. Wait, that doesn't match. It doesn't even follow the beginning of his earlier statement. It's like a scene spliced onto another scene, as if something or someone interrupted reality itself. Comments on the video explode. WTF? Rewatch 742. His eyes, His eyes go black for a second. No joke. Slow it down. There's a whisper under the glitch noise. I swear I heard it. Theories start multiplying like wildfire. Reddit threads appear within minutes. Some say the broadcast was hacked. Others whisper darker things. Talk of possession, parallel timelines, or experimental mind control. One particularly chilling comment rises to the top. They try to hide it, but they didn't rewind enough. James saw something he wasn't supposed to. Now, so did the reporter. People begin scrubbing the video frame by frame. At 7:42, just as the glitch peaks, there it is. A single frame. The reporter's eyes. Pure black. No sclera. No pupils. Like two dark holes carved into his skull. It's only for a fraction of a second. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. And under the glitching noise, if you isolate the audio, there's a whisper. Slowed down. Enhanced. It sounds like 3 chilling words. You're next, James. The footage is pulled from the news channel's archive within an hour. All official copies gone. But by then, it's too late. Users had already ripped, saved, and reposted it hundreds of times. An anonymous account appears that night. No profile picture, no description, no prior activity. Just one post. The glitch clip. In the comments, the account responds only once and only cryptically. Not a hack. Not an accident. Keep watching the mirrors. Then, nothing more. Internet detectives dive deeper. They find something strange about the reporter himself. Before the James Burnham story, the reporter had been a trusted face on local TV for almost 14 years. Reliable. Calm. Never a mistake. After that night, though, he's never seen on air again. Rumors swirl that he had a medical emergency. Unofficial reports, ones buried in fringe forums, claim he was found in his dressing room, staring into the mirror, muttering something over and over. I saw them. I saw them. I saw them. His eyes reportedly bloodshot, pupils still dilated long after he was sedated. Some users begin to claim even watching the glitched clip feels dangerous. Had a nightmare last night, someone knocking on the inside of my mirror. Is it just me, or does the audio change the longer you listen? Pause it at 7:44. There's a shadow behind the reporter. It moves before he does. Theories evolve, not just about James Burnham anymore. Now, people whisper about whatever he uncovered. Something that doesn't just affect the dead. Something that seeps into recordings, into reflections, into you. The final frame of the anonymous upload, if you brighten it enough, hidden deep in the background static. There's a figure, thin, unmoving, standing behind the reporter, watching, waiting, about the blank book. It had been sitting next to James's oversized coffee mug when police arrived at the scene. Ordinary, unremarkable, a leather-bound journal, worn at the edges, its spine cracked with age. When officers flipped through it, every page was pristine. Not a single mark. No scribbles, no notes, no hidden pockets. Just a blank book, or so it seemed. It was cataloged as evidence. Sealed in an airtight plastic bag, labeled, and tucked away in the evidence room at the precinct. No one gave it a second thought. It was just another item, among dozens, tied to a man whose death made no sense. Until 3 days later, a rookie officer pulling a late-night shift noticed something strange. The evidence bag containing James's journal was different. Condensation fogged the inside of the plastic. The bag itself felt strangely warm to the touch, as if it had been left in the sun. But it hadn't. The evidence room was temperature-controlled. Always had been. Curious, the officer unsealed the bag. What he found chilled him to the bone. The once blank pages were now filled. Page after page of cramped, frantic handwriting. Dense entries that seemed to bleed into each other. No margins, no order. And it was unmistakably James's handwriting. Even more disturbing, the dates at the top of each entry. All of them were after James's official time of death, written as if James had never died at all. Or worse, as if death wasn't the end of his story. The entries themselves were fragmented, disjointed, like the frantic thoughts of a man slipping between worlds. Some describe sensations. The mirrors are wrong. They've been when I'm not looking. Hearing voices in the static. Not words. Warnings. Lost 3 hours today. I blinked and the sun was gone. Others read like desperate warnings. They only move when you aren't looking. The reflection lags behind. That's how you know it's watching. In one chilling passage, James wrote, "The more I notice them, the stronger they get. They live in the gaps between seconds, between frames." Investigators argued over what to make of it. Was James writing from beyond the grave? Was it a hoax? Or had the book absorbed something, some memory, some message left unfinished? Experts were brought in, handwriting analysts, parapsychologists, even computer scientists specializing in electromagnetic phenomena. No one could explain how ink appeared on the pages without any sign of tampering. No one could explain how the handwriting aged naturally, smudges, fading, as if it had been written days ago, not minutes. It was as if the journal was alive, syncing with a reality the rest of them couldn't see. And then came the final entry. The last page, written messily, the pen's strokes uneven, as if the writer's hand was shaking violently. One simple sentence. "Don't believe what the screen shows. I'm not dead yet." Underneath, a strange symbol, like an eye crossed out with a jagged line. The journal ended there. No further entries. No explanation. The journal was locked away again, or so they claimed, but rumors spread fast. Some said officers who handled the journal reported hearing voices in their homes afterward. Unusual flickering lights in their homes. Suspicious mirrors cracking spontaneously in their homes. Wall clocks in their homes seeming to skip, missing minutes, hours. And when reporters asked about the final entry in the journal, officials denied it even existed. They said the book was blank, that it had always been blank. But a leaked photo, briefly posted online before disappearing, showed otherwise. Some people online have seen James's frantic words, clear as day. James Burnham's final day starts ordinary, almost boring. Security footage from a small, local coffee shop captures him pushing open the door at exactly 9:36 a.m. He looks normal. No signs of fear, no rush in his step. He offers the barista, a young woman named Elise, a small, polite smile. The same one he always gave her. James orders his regular. Black coffee, no sugar, extra large mug. But then something strange happens. The barista, interviewed days later, recalled it with a nervous laugh. He ordered twice, she said. Same coffee, same mug, but he only ever drank one. I asked him if someone was joining him, and he just smiled. Kinda sad, kinda scared. Security cameras back her up. James places 2 orders. 2 identical mugs. Paid cash. When Elise hands them over, James murmurs something under his breath. She leans in, thinking maybe he's talking to her. But no, James is speaking to the empty air beside him. The mic at the counter barely catches his words. "One for me, one for the one who follows." He leaves, balancing both mugs carefully in his hands. No one follows him out. At least, no one the cameras can see. Later that afternoon, a neighbor's Ring camera catches more. At 3:47 p.m., James is seen walking up the cracked sidewalk toward his home. One mug still in hand, the other gone. He's talking animatedly, gesturing, nodding. But there's no one beside him. The footage shows only James. Alone, yet his mouth moves urgently, as if responding to someone. When audio from the Ring doorbell is enhanced, James's voice comes through in shaky bursts. "I told you, not yet. Why now? I haven't finished." His tone shifts from frustration to fear. At one point, his head snaps sharply to the side, like he's been startled by something sudden. The cup in his hand trembles. A few dark drops of coffee stain the sidewalk. And then, the most chilling detail. The timestamp on the video, 3:49 p.m., exactly 1 minute after James's officially recorded time of death. Internet sleuths dive deep into the footage, frame by frame. Some claim if you slow it down enough, you can catch a flicker, a shadow, a distortion in the light next to James's shoulder. Others say you can hear something, faint, overlaying James's words. A second voice, soft, whispering, too distorted to make out. But some insist it says, "You're out of time." The police later dismiss the footage as inconclusive. They chalk it up to technical glitches, faulty timestamps, stress. But neighbors aren't convinced. Multiple people in the area reported strange things around that same hour. Lights flickering for no reason. Static on cell phones, even with full signal. A low, humming vibration that some said they felt more than heard. Some even claimed they saw James, not alive, but a blurry version of him, standing outside his house, mouth moving silently, staring into nowhere, as if caught between two worlds. And then the coffee mug, the second one, the one James had ordered for the one who follows. It was never found at the scene, not shattered, not dropped, just gone, as if it had been claimed by whoever or whatever James had been expecting. A chilling thought remains. James knew they were coming. He knew he was running out of time, and somehow he tried to prepare, even offering a drink for the unseen guest that would walk him across the threshold. 3 days after James Burnham's death, the investigation stalled. No suspects, no murder weapon, nothing but the growing strangeness clinging to his case like mist. That's when someone unexpected came forward. A woman named Eleanor Mercer, 84 years old, widowed, lived in the same block as James for over 20 years. Known for sitting on her porch every morning, rain or shine, feeding the pigeons and sipping sweet tea from a chipped glass. People said Eleanor noticed everything. On the morning after James's death, around 7 a.m., Eleanor said she saw him. Not someone who looked like him. Him, James, standing across the street from his own apartment building. She described it carefully, almost fearfully. He looked wrong, she said, like he was drained, pale as milk, and confused, poor thing, just standing there, staring up at his window. At first, she thought maybe the police were wrong. Maybe James had survived somehow. But the longer she watched him, the more wrong it felt. He wasn't just looking up at his window. He was studying it, like someone trying to remember something important, but finding only blank spaces where memories should be. Eleanor, concerned, shuffled off her porch and crossed the street to reach him. As she got closer, she called out, "James, are you all right?" He turned. His eyes, normally a soft brown, looked almost translucent, washed out, like the color had been drained from him. But he smiled, a small, lost smile, and then he asked her something that made her blood run cold. "What year is it?" Eleanor, startled, answered, "2025, dear." James's face twisted, not in fear, not even in anger, but deep, gut-wrenching confusion, as if the word 2025 meant nothing to him, as if he was trying to place himself in a timeline he no longer belonged to. Before she could say anything else, before she could even blink, James was gone. No running, no walking away, just gone, like a trick of the light, like smoke dissipating. One moment there, the next, empty sidewalk. Eleanor stood frozen, clutching her shawl, staring at the spot where James had been. The pigeons around her, normally unbothered, burst into flight all at once, as if sensing something unnatural. When she reported what she saw to the police, they were polite but dismissive. They chalked it up to grief, old age, confusion over dates and faces. "Maybe you saw someone else," they said gently. Maybe it was just a dream. But Eleanor wasn't senile, and she knew James Burnham. "I spoke to him," she insisted in interviews later. He spoke back. He was lost. He wasn't supposed to be here anymore. The media caught hold of her story briefly. Skeptics mocked it. Forums exploded with theories. Was it a ghost? A residual echo? Or was James never truly dead to begin with? Some amateur sleuths analyzed her account alongside ring footage from the night before. They pointed out a chilling connection. In the final frames before James's supposed death, the timestamp glitched. Just for a second, flashing not 2025, but 1975. A 50-year discrepancy. Gone in a blink, easily missed. Unless you were looking for it. Was James slipping through time? Or was something, or someone, slipping through him? After Eleanor's report, others began to come forward. A cab driver swore he picked up a man matching James's description, ashen-faced, clutching an empty coffee cup. A night nurse at a nearby hospital claimed she saw James wandering the parking lot, whispering at reflections in car windows. Each sighting shared two things. James always seemed confused. James always asked the same question. What year is it? And slowly, a terrifying possibility began to emerge. Maybe James Burnham wasn't trapped between life and death. Maybe he was trapped between times, endlessly looping, endlessly searching. For a moment, he lost and could never find again. After Eleanor's chilling account, online communities exploded with theories. Something about James Burnham didn't add up. His neighbors, co-workers, even distant family members admitted they knew almost nothing about his life before he moved to town. No childhood stories, no high school friends, no family reunions. It was as if James Burnham had simply appeared one day, fully formed, quietly living under everyone's radar. That mystery? It caught the attention of internet sleuths, the kind who dig until they find something you never wanted found. They started small. Public records, tax filings, old yearbooks. At first, nothing. James Burnham didn't seem to exist before the age of 19. And then, one user found it. A single document buried in a forgotten public database. A legal name change. James Burnham hadn't been born James Burnham at all. His birth name? Jacob Marin. The discovery sent shockwaves through the forums. A deep dive into Jacob Marin revealed something far more chilling. At 17, Jacob had been listed as a test subject at a government-affiliated research facility, the Silex Institute for Advanced Cognitive Studies. Officially, the Silex Institute studied enhanced learning patterns in gifted youth. Unofficially, whistleblower documents hinted at something darker. Experiments in perception manipulation, memory distortion, testing the limits of how reality itself could be bent inside the human mind. Jacob Marin had volunteered for one of their programs. Or maybe he hadn't. Accounts conflicted. Some said he was a willing participant. Others whispered about coercion, about young minds pushed beyond safe limits. Regardless, Jacob spent 6 months inside Silex. 6 months off the grid. 6 months where, according to reports, subjects were exposed to continuous sensory manipulation. Lights that bent at impossible angles. Sounds layered under normal speech, too faint to consciously hear. Mirrors that didn't quite reflect the truth. Reality itself was twisted around them until the participants no longer knew what was real and what was planted. The program ended suddenly. A classified incident. All records sealed by the Department of Defense. The few surviving documents suggested a mental rupture occurred, one so severe it shut the project down overnight. Jacob Marin disappeared from public life immediately after. 2 years later, he resurfaced under a new name, James Burnham. Speculation exploded. Was James running from something the experiments did to him? Was his death really the final stage of an experiment that never ended? Had he been living in a false reality for years, only to finally slip out of it? Some users even pointed out chilling patterns. James's fixation on psychology and quantum physics, fields tied to perception and reality theory. His strange behavior in the days before his death. His recorded plea to Eleanor. What year is it? Had time really broken for him? Or was his mind trapped in a version of reality no one else could see? The most disturbing theory came from an anonymous source claiming to be a former Silex employee. They posted a single cryptic message. Project Echo 9 wasn't designed to end. The subjects don't just see different realities. They live them, stuck between overlapping worlds. And when the worlds collapse, the post cut off mid-sentence. The account was deleted minutes later. More people began asking hard questions. Had James ever truly escaped Silex's grip? Was his murder just a side effect of realities folding in on each other? Was someone or something still watching him right up until the end? Or worse, maybe James wasn't the only one. Maybe Project Echo 9 had many subjects, and maybe some of them were just now beginning to wake up. It's been almost a full day since James Burnham's death was announced. The town is quiet, too quiet, like it's holding its breath. At 4:11 p.m., exactly 23 minutes after James was officially pronounced dead, someone unexpected gets a message. Maya Hartley, James's ex-girlfriend. They hadn't spoken in almost a year. Their breakup was messy, distance, secrets, a growing feeling that James was different. Maya is working late at a small bookstore when her phone buzzes once and then falls silent. A voicemail. No missed call. Just the message. Confused, she checks the screen. The caller ID? Unknown number. The timestamp? 4:11 p.m. after James's reported time of death. Curious, and more than a little unnerved, she hits play. At first, it's just static, a low, grinding hiss. But then, underneath the noise, comes a voice. James's voice. Frenzied, whispering, almost sobbing. The message is short, broken, like he's fighting to get the words out. They erased the wrong version. You have to find the book. I'm in the book. Don't trust the mirrors. Then silence. Maya stares at her phone in shock. She plays it again, hoping she misheard. But no, the same whispered warning crackles through the speaker. They erased the wrong version. Find the book. Don't trust the mirrors. Her hands trembling, Maya calls the police. She tells them she's received a voicemail from a dead man. They take it seriously at first. 2 detectives arrive within the hour. They confiscate Maya's phone and take it back to the station to analyze the message. Maya waits anxiously, convinced that maybe, just maybe, they'll find a clue, something to explain what happened to James. Later that night, they call her back in. Their faces are unreadable. The lead detective slides her phone across the table and says only, "Play it." She does. But this time, there's no voice. Just static. Flat. Lifeless. No whispering. No frantic warnings. No James. Just the hollow, buzzing nothingness of an empty line. Maya insists she heard it. She begs them to listen again. She describes James's exact words, his urgency, the fear cracking his voice. But the detectives exchange glances. Skeptical, polite, dismissing it as grief-induced hallucination. Sometimes, one says, "Our brains hear what our hearts want to believe." But Maya knows what she heard, and in the pit of her stomach, something icy curls tighter. James wasn't hallucinating. He was warning her. Unable to sleep, Maya digs through her old things, photos, journals, anything James might have left behind. In the back of her closet, she finds something odd, an old mirror. She doesn't remember buying it, doesn't remember bringing it home. But there it is, a heavy, dust-covered frame leaning against the wall. When she moves closer, the surface doesn't reflect her normally. Her movements are half a second off, delayed, like a bad connection, like something or someone else is mimicking her. Her breath catches. James's words echo in her mind. Don't trust the mirrors. Maya throws a sheet over the mirror. She turns away, but out of the corner of her eye, she thinks she sees something shift beneath the sheet. Something tall, watching, waiting. She tells herself it's stress, shock, grief. But deep down, she knows better. James wasn't just rambling. He left her a message for a reason. Now Maya has a mission. To find a book. To find the truth. Because if James was erased, if someone or something wiped away the wrong version of him, then maybe, just maybe, there's still a chance to bring him back. If she's brave enough to look beyond the mirrors. If she's fast enough to find the book before whatever erased James comes for her next. Days after Maya Hartley received the cryptic voicemail from James, days after his official time of death, rumors about James's bizarre disappearance reached a fever pitch. The internet exploded, theories swirled, and then new footage emerged. At first, it appeared to be just another grainy, unremarkable clip, nothing that would change the investigation. But then, something caught everyone's attention. The footage was from the apartment building's hallway security cameras. The timestamp? 3:50 p.m., a full 2 minutes after James was reported dead. The camera captures a narrow hallway. A door creaks open. James Burnham steps out, alive, not a corpse, not even a ghost. In the footage, James walks calmly into the frame, just as the timestamp flashes. But something is wrong. At first, it's subtle, almost imperceptible. James is moving too, slowly. His reflection in the mirror at the end of the hallway, it lags, not by a second, not even by a fraction of a second, but by a full half a second, a stretch of time too noticeable to ignore. And as he walks toward the camera, the shadows along the walls don't follow the usual rules. They stretch in impossible directions, bending and curving in ways no natural light could ever cast. The walls themselves seem to shift, almost breathing, pulsing, like the very building is alive. James steps out of frame, and he never returns. He's gone. No re-entry. No more footage. The camera freezes at the edge of the frame where he disappeared. The video cuts abruptly. The police are quick to dismiss the footage as a hoax. Another piece of misinformation from an increasingly desperate public. It's been tampered with, one detective says dismissively. Probably edited to mess with us. But when they run it through the proper channels, experts find something shocking. No signs of tampering. No signs of any digital alteration. The footage is untouched. The shadows, the lag in his reflection, they're part of the raw footage. Not faked, not manufactured, just wrong. Skeptics flood online forums, claiming the footage is simply an optical illusion. Some say it's just a malfunction in the camera's sensors, a glitch. Others claim the reflection issue is a simple lighting problem. But the more people look at the footage, the more they start to feel it. The same uncomfortable, crawling sensation that ran through Maya when she first encountered the strange mirror in her apartment. It's like reality itself is shifting. And then, a theory begins to circulate. Could James have been caught in a time loop? A moment where the boundaries of time and space collapse into one distorted reality? If so, what does that mean for the rest of them? Meanwhile, an anonymous poster on a conspiracy forum draws a chilling connection. This is not the first time this has happened. The user claims to have witnessed similar footage from another apartment building years ago, an incident involving a woman who vanished mysteriously, only to be caught on a security camera walking out of her own door hours after her death was reported. The similarities are unmistakable. The lagging reflections, the stretching shadows, the inexplicable disappearances. Could there be a pattern, a purpose to these anomalies? In the wake of the new footage, a sense of growing dread begins to settle over the community. People are no longer just wondering about James's fate. They're wondering if this could happen to them. Are the mirrors in their homes reflecting the truth? Are the shadows they see stretching along the walls only showing them part of the story? And the most terrifying question of all, is reality even real anymore? The footage ends with the eerie stillness of the hallway, a snapshot frozen in time. James Burnham may have stepped out of his apartment, but something else is moving in the shadows. Something that might not even belong to this world. The mystery of James Burnham's disappearance and the strange events surrounding his death only deepens with each passing day. Maya hardly can't shake the feeling that something is wrong, that the veil between worlds has thinned somehow. And then, something happens that nobody expected. Out of nowhere, an unannounced live stream begins on James's old writing account. A digital ghost of his past. No prior uploads. No warning. Just a blank profile, dormant for months, suddenly active. The timestamp reads 5:23 p.m. It's an unremarkable shot, a fixed camera view of James's old kitchen counter. The same cracked mug, the same blank book sitting off to the side. Everything feels familiar, but wrong. The stream starts with an eerie calmness. The camera shakes slightly as it comes to life. It's clear this is no high-budget production. The angle is off, as if it's been placed there by someone without any real thought. But as the minutes tick by, the chat starts buzzing. Hundreds, then thousands of people filing in, commenting furiously. Is this real? Where's James? This is insane, he's dead. And then, the unmistakable sound of a door opening. Footsteps. James Burnham, alive, walks into the frame. He moves with his characteristic ease, as if nothing is amiss, as if he's completely unaware of the online storm brewing. There's something almost unsettling about the casualness of it all. He walks up to the counter, pours himself a cup of coffee, the same black liquid sloshing in the oversized mug, just like the video from days before. And then that smirk, the one that had been so unsettling when he was alive, and now it's darker, knowing, a little too much. The chat goes wild. What the hell? How is this happening? This can't be happening. He's supposed to be dead. But James doesn't even acknowledge the comments. He sets the mug down. The book remains untouched, the blank pages staring up at the screen, as if waiting for something to happen. James finally looks up, straight at the camera, straight into the eyes of those watching. For a moment, there's silence. Just a few moments of unnerving calm. Then his lips part, in a low, measured voice, like he's speaking directly to the people watching, directly to those who still doubt what they've seen. I think someone else is about to die. The words hang in the air, heavy with foreboding. And then, just as quickly as it began, the stream cuts to black. Silence. The screen remains black. No message, no audio, no explanation. Just the eerie emptiness of a live feed frozen in time. The chat explodes in chaos. What do you mean? Is he talking about himself? Who's next? What's going on? I can't take this. And yet, nothing happens. No more videos. No posts. No sign of James. Maya watches the stream, heart pounding in her chest. Is this the same man who once sat across from her, laughing at stupid jokes? She doesn't know what to think anymore. She tries to call the police, but her phone won't dial. Something's wrong with the connection. Is this all just a cruel joke? Or is James somehow still trapped in this bizarre loop of his own making? Hours pass. Days. Nothing. Until, in the middle of the night, Maya receives an unexpected phone call. A voice, no name, no number, just static. The same low hum from James's last voicemail. And then, an unmistakable voice emerges from the chaos. You should have watched closer, Maya. Someone else is about to die. Maya's hands shake as she hangs up, staring at her phone, trying to make sense of what's happening. And the more she thinks about it, the more the pieces start to fit together. James wasn't just warning her about himself. He was warning her about everyone, about the town, about the people who were close to him, about her. The question now, who else is about to disappear? Theories flood back to the surface. Could James have been caught in a rift between worlds, a parallel timeline that keeps looping itself over and over again? Or worse, had his experiments with perception and reality torn something open, a fracture that was no longer just consuming him, but everything around him? The static, the glitches, the warped reflections. It was all connected. Maya's thoughts spiral as the pieces finally lock into place. The growing dread that stalked her for days now feels absolute, inescapable. She isn't just an observer in James's unraveling story. She's the next chapter. His warning wasn't meant to save her. It was a handoff, passing the curse from him to her. A chain that could never be broken, only transferred. And as the flickering lights around her go out, one by one, Maya understands. The game is over. The fracture has chosen its next victim. And the truth isn't coming. It's already here.